These streets have hardly altered in 800 years. Along them once walked a man who changed the world, who was as much a revolutionary as, say, Karl Marx. This is Italy, Assisi to be exact, and the man in question was no soldier or politician, but a humble preacher, sometimes dismissed in legend as the near-demented friar who spoke to the birds. Yet his mark on his time was such that emperors and kings hung on his every word, and his appeal today is as strong as ever. Medieval Italy was plagued by local wars. Assisi and its neighbour Perugia, for instance, were almost always at loggerheads. It was a period, too, of doubt and terror, of gloom and hopelessness. Religion was no comfort either, with its constant talk of hellfire and demons. Everywhere the Catholic Church was on the defensive. In Milan alone, during the 12th century, there were 14 heretical sects. Yet out of this fearsome, fearful age, and seemingly from the very eye of the storm, from the heart of the barbaric fold, as it were, it is perhaps paradoxical that there should come the most tender and non-violent of men, the one we know as St. Francis of Assisi. More portraits exist of Francis than of any other saint in Christendom. During his lifetime, he liked to be known as Il Poverello, the little poor man, and his goal was to be the most modest, the most meek, the most rigorous servant of God. Humility and poverty were his regular catchwords, yet before he died he was revered by popes and princes. Francis was born in 1181 or 1182, there is some dispute as to which year, the son of an Assisi cloth merchant. Dealing in cloth then was extremely profitable. Compared to most in medieval Italy, his childhood must have been easy and indulgent. His father expected him to follow in the family business. Instead, he dreamt of becoming a military man or a minstrel, ambitions that led him before he was 21 to participating in one of Assisi's perennial wars with her more powerful neighbour, Perugia. Alas, he ended up spending a year in a prison there. In those days, there stood just outside the walls of Assisi a tiny tumble-down chapel called San Damiano. Today, of course, it is much more substantial. Francis's drifting had already led him to contemplate a life of prayer. One day, when in the chapel, the figure on the crucifix spoke to him, so he believed. "Restore my house," is what he thought the voice said. Nothing startling in that. Yet it was a command that was to revolutionize his life, and in the process transform the medieval world. Amid the gloom of the Middle Ages, with the threat of eternal damnation, hell-fire, and goodness knows what else, the sight of Francis preaching to the birds must have been enchanting. Living according to the gospel was not meant to be a cheerless pursuit. Joking and laughing, singing, dancing, and storytelling were part and parcel of Francis's scheme of things.
Amen.